right, so this is day 2 aftermath of the motor takedown, our Quicksilver Evo project. It's a 64 motor, 4G64. So we took it apart to see, what the damage is and what's going on. So we have the motor here, and it's a better look at 64. I don't know if you can see it. So let's take a look at inside the motor. The cylinder walls on this was a stroker, so this was still doing 2.4 liter, but not long rods. We measured the rods, it was still the 150 millimeter rods. As you can see, the cylinder walls on the first two boards are okay. There's some scratches on the third one, and cylinder 4 is kind of messed up. That's not going to be reusable. I know for a fact this was bored to 87 millimeter. That's very big to begin with, so we'll have sealing issues. Besides, I want to go with a 63 block 2.2 anyway. The pistons, I feel that there was a piston to wall clearance issue, but the first two look all right. The rods and then the bearings are okay too. Again, this is a 4G64 motor with the 100 millimeter crank and 150 millimeter rods. So that's the way, those measurements are the way they comes from factory to make a 2.4 liter. So the rod 2 is pretty good, and the pistons are good as well. The issue actually was in rod 3 and 4. As you can see, there was piston to wall clearance issue. The piston looks all right, the bearing was okay, but piston 4 was really bad. And these motors are notorious for that, and I think it's because of the manifold. Cylinder 4 tends to run lean, so you have to compensate for that. As you can see on the side of the side skirts, there was definitely some rubbing going on over there, and the piston melted. It's because of lean condition, most likely. The person who had it before told me that he saw overboost and lean, and then he heard noises, so this is most likely where it came from. The bearings were pretty bad. I threw them away. Actually, it fell in the garbage, but I threw them away. The bearings were pretty bad. However, the crank looks okay. So this is a Manley billet 100 millimeter crank. Well, some would say stroker. So if you put this 100 millimeter crank in a 63 motor, it'll give you 2.3 liter. But if you put this same crank in the 64 motor, it'll give you 2.4 liter. So the crank looks pretty good. I think it's reusable. There's some scuffs here, but nothing that we can't polish out. Billet crank, this one. If anybody's interested in a 100 millimeter Manley billet crank in good condition, I'll obviously take care of the machining problems. I'll balance it. I'll also have everything polished, ready to assemble. Let me know, drop me a line. We'll go work something out. But yeah, that is, I think the rods are the only thing that's salvageable. If I go with the 94 millimeter crank, which is in between the 100 millimeter and the 88 millimeter, use the 150 millimeter rods with the wrist pins moved up, say 3 millimeter, that would take care of the measurements. So we also got 2000cc injectors with this car, but the car's been sitting there for like, I don't know, like a year and a half or a year. We don't know how good these injectors are. So we actually have a injector cleaning and flow test machine that is open to the public. So if you need any servicing for the injectors, let us know. So cross your fingers, hopefully these are salvageable. So what we're gonna do now is a leak down test. Make sure the cylinder hold up under pressure. That's the pressure. All right. No leaks. It's doing 100 psi's. That's good. That's a good sign. No leaks, right? That's awesome. It's holding at 100, which is great. So if you do the calculation, if your base pressure is 43 and you say around 50 pounds of a boost, so 1-to-1 ratio, your fuel pressure at 50 pounds of boost should be at like what, 93, 95, 90, maybe a little bit less. So yeah, this will work. Now let's see how good the flow test is. That could be an issue as well, because he did run E85. All right, looking good so far. The pattern is all right. A little cleaning should be all right, but let's see how much it actually flows. All right, so it looks pretty even to me. I mean, within, you know, my acceptable range, as long as it's even. Can we do a little bit of cleaning and see if it improves?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a ghetto way of doing this. You can look it up on YouTube. There's like, you use a 9-volt battery and you inject a brake cleaner or whatever into this injector as you open it, and use a syringe to add pressure. But that's ghetto. But this is good. So we're actually gonna clean it and then retest it again. All right, so we got the machine hooked up to cleaning. So these will actually pulsate. The injectors open and close while the solution goes in and out of the nozzle, and while it's vibrating inside to get to solutions, shake the dirt and whatever you might have free. So let's begin. I think it takes like 5 to 10 minutes. So we're gonna check back after this to see what difference it made and if it cleaned the spray pattern a little bit. These are 2000 cc injectors, FIC. So 5 to 10 minutes later, it's been cleaned, and now we're gonna retest everything. Let's start with the flow test. These injectors were clean to begin with, so let's see if they've made any difference. Yep, that's definitely a difference. Before it was, as you notice, between 100 and 90. Now it's above 100. So it's actually definitely flowing more. That's a good thing. 85 only. You guys should get these cleaned at least like, you know, twice a year, because E85 and everything definitely clogs the system up. And that's how we do the flow test on this machine.